If your site is slow like this, stick around and I'll then show you how to make your site ultra fast. And by the end of this video, your site will transform from a sluggish Volkswagen Beetle into a Ferrari. So, to make your site faster, besides praying, you should find out what is the heaviest part to load. Now requesting your site, normally it will be the database. The database is one of the heaviest places to make a request because it usually has a lot of data, like pictures, product data, and user accounts. With all this data, it takes some time for the computer to find the right data that was requested. In a situation of high traffic, your database can receive a lot of requests at once. You may not be able to handle all of them, so it will have to create a queue to answer all the requests, which could make the site even slower. But you might be wondering, I can remove the database? Where will my users save the data? On a paper? And you're right, we can remove the database, but we can reduce the number of requests that your site make to it. And here comes my first tip. You must use a server-side cache. Okay, but what is a server-side cache? In simple terms, a server-side cache is a place where you can store some data to be retrieved more easily and faster than in a common database. A really popular database to be used as cache is Redis. It is perfect for cache because it is way faster than a relational database like Postgres or MySQL. The main reason for Redis to be so fast is because it primarily stores the data in RAM, which is way faster than SSG or AD that a common database would use. Besides, Redis has a structure way simpler than a relational database. So now you may be thinking, okay, that's great, so I use it for my whole site. Screw Postgres, SQL Service, MySQL. And you're wrong. Redis is great for cache, but not for save data that must persist. Redis has some drawbacks too. While Redis is great for cache data, it has some limitations when it comes to persist data. Redis may not be 100% reliable in stored data, which means the data may be lost or not saved properly. Additionally, Redis has a simpler structure than a relational database, which means that the search may not be as precise. This is because Redis stores data in memory, which can be volatile and may lead to data loss if the server crashes or loses power. In contrast, relational databases like Postgres are designed to be more reliable and durable, making them better suited for persisting data. To demonstrate how good cache is, I developed a simple application that utilizes SQL as database and Redis for cache. Initially, I populated the database with 100,000 user records and I created an endpoint to retrieve users from database. And as you can see, this operation using only the database took slightly more than 1 second to retrieve all users. After this, I integrate Redis as cache. The idea was to have the first request fetching data from the database and then store the data in cache, so the next requests will retrieve the data from cache instead of the database, and the result was mind-blowing. It was reduced to 200 milliseconds, making it 5 times faster than the initial operation. Okay guys, now that you know this, I'll see you in the next video. However, your site is still slow, isn't it? Well, in addition to looking for ways to reduce the database requests, we have another technique to combine with server-side cache, and it is client-side cache. In simple terms, client-side cache is a technique that allows you to give a comment to the browser to restore the response data in cache, so the next time that the client needs the data, it will get from the browser instead of make a request for the API. The cache data will be invalidated based on the time that you set. Okay, now that we have reduced the requests in the database, it's time for us to look at the response itself. After taking a close look at your front-end response, the main areas for optimization are usually CSS, JavaScript, and images. We can reduce the size of CSS in JavaScript by Minify them. But what is Minify? When we write a code, we write it for humans to understand. Okay, maybe you don't. Maybe even you cannot understand your code the next day, but you get it. Most programmers write code for humans, with functions and variable named in a way that explains what they do, but the machine doesn't need all these things. When your code is compiled, the machine will take all this code and turn it into something they can read. So here comes Minify. Knowing that the machine doesn't need comments, fancy names, or tab spaces, we can remove all these things and minify the code. When we minify the code, tabs, line breaks, and spaces are removed, and your code style will be optimized, all to reduce the overall size of your files. Now about image optimization. We can optimize images too, you know. I mean, do you really need a 4K icon? When it comes to image optimization, there are some things we can do with the image. First, we need to compress the image and reduce its size. For example, if you have an icon that you always display as 2420 pixels, you don't want the image of the icon to be 1000 or 1000 pixels. We should also consider to change the format of the image to a modern format like WebP, which allows to compress the image without much loss in quality compared to JPG or PNG. Another important technique is to use lazy load for for the image. With less load, your website images will only load when the user sees them. Now, you might be thinking, do I have to do all this for every image on my website? I can barely take care of my life, let alone take care of each image. Well, you're right. Luckily nowadays, there are many libraries using frameworks that can help you with optimization. There are many other ways to improve your website performance that I didn't mention here, such as using CDN and index the database. If you would like to share some of your optimization technique, feel free to comment here.